On the cusp of turning 70, Norman Maclean did what many people facing retirement want to do. He launched a successful second career. He became a writer, though he preferred to call himself a storyteller. And in this career, he did what anyone at any age wants to do when they start putting thoughts on paper. He wrote a popular book. A River Runs Through It and Other Stories has sold close to 2 million copies, with 5 different editions and numerous translations. There are 2 illustrated editions of the title story, which was also made into a beloved movie. That story centers on Norman's version of losing his glittering, doomed younger brother, whom he loved but couldn't help and who was murdered. Published posthumously, Young Men and Fire also focuses on dead young men, elite parachuting forest firefighters who died in a conflagration near Helena, Montana. For the second book, I wanted to do something very different from the first, Norman wrote. Something objective, apart from me, not spots of time out of my own life. I thought it would take me a year, but things slowly went wrong. He set the manuscript aside in 1987. Alan Thomas, then the humanities editor at the University of Chicago Press, assembled its different parts into a book years later. In telling that story, Norman expanded the limits of compassion, wrestling with questions of immortality as he tried to make art out of a tragedy, contemplating his own mortality as he searched for what he called the consolation of explanation. His second career could not have happened without his first, in which he was also successful, and he couldn't have written either book as a young man. Norman was celebrated as a formidable English teacher at the University of Chicago long before the publication of A River Runs Through It and Other Stories, before Robert Redford released his movie of the title story, and before he received an avalanche of awards and honors. He was an intellectual, but unlike his colleagues, he was not a prolific scholar. For almost 40 years, he focused his considerable energy on engaging and educating college students. He lavished attention on them, helping them improve their writing, penning letters of recommendation for graduate schools, professional schools, jobs, and fellowships.